Hey everybody, welcome to another string theory tutorial. This is Taylor Brown, and in this video, we will be learning how to make sand in Blender cycles. You can make your own beach scene before we start, or you can use the one in the thumbnail that I prepared by purchasing it for $1 on my Gumroad. You'll be able to find some other products there as well. I have a link for all of that below. Now before we start, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check out my Instagram at string_fairy and my Twitter at tb_stringfairy. Okay, so now we have a beach scene. In mine, we have a cart, a beach ball, sunglasses, shells, shards of glass, and a towel. Everything is looking dandy, except for this sand. And no matter how much we change the noise scale or the color, it doesn't really seem to improve. And adding a displacement modifier doesn't really seem to change much. So then the question becomes, how do we get from this to this? I'll run you through the process that worked for me. So we start out with a scaled up plane. Give it a subdivision surface. Choose simple to retain the shape. And give it 4 subdivisions. Apply it. Give it a new subdivision surface. Set to 4. And then add a displacement modifier. Choose a new texture. Clouds. Change the scale to 0.85. Add an empty. And then make that the texture coordinate. Now our empty can control the scale. So we scale it on the x-axis to make it more wavy. Change the strength here to 0.4. And then make sure to apply our scale. Then add a new displacement modifier. Make it hard. Change the depth to something like 10. And then change the direction to Y. Now, why oh why did I choose Y? It's to mimic the wind pushing the sand that direction. And I like how it's clumping in certain spots. It's like the sand is packing together. And then to make it a little bit more smooth, just add a new subdivision surface. Now onto the material. Give it a new material, and then add a Voronoi texture. Give it the scale of 500, add a texture setup, and change the coordinate to object. Add a noise texture, change the scale to 200, and increase the detail. Let's mix them together, and then we'll copy the setup, and change the rotation to a really small degree, like 0.01. And mix these two setups together using difference for the blend type. Now we get this nice embossed look. Grab a color ramp to increase the contrast. And mix it with a tannish color. And set the blend type to color. That way it takes the value of the first color, but it takes the color of the second color. And then add a new mix RGB and combine it with the mix RGB set to difference. Set the blend type to multiply. That way it adds the black values. Plug that into the base color in the subsurface. Choose a low value for the subsurface. Don't want it too strong. And increase the roughness pretty high up. And then plug the texture into the height of a bump map. And plug that into the normal, just to add some fake depth. And just play around with the colors and the blend types and the mix value. And then we can adjust the towel to make sure that it falls down on the sand appropriately. Just adding the cloth back and some collision, and then simulating that cloth. Alright, Apply that, and now it's where it should be. Now onto the particle system, the little grains of sand. Make sure they have very little geometry. That's why I'm choosing cubes. And then give them a new material and a name. Give it a glass and some roughness, that way it absorbs light, makes it glitter when it's really small. And then add a transparent shader. Give it a higher value than physically accurate, something like 1.3. Blend them together, and make sure the transparent shader is only applied to the shadow. Now the single grain of sand is casting down caustics. Give the second grain of sand the same material, Control L, make links with material, copy the material, and then set the glass value a little bit darker, something like 0.5 for the value. And then add a new particle system for the sand here. Choose hair so it's static. We're going to add a lot of sand here, so what we'll do is, in the viewport display, we will lower it down to 1%. And render as collection, and then choose the collection with the grains of sand, the dark and the light. Make sure it picks random. Change the scale really low, like 0.001. And then render out 1 million grains of sand. Yes, 1 million. Choose advanced so that we have more options here. Make the distribution of these particles more random. And now we can add rotation. Choose normal for the orientation. And then ramp up these settings here. And then we need to add scale randomness. That way they're all different sizes here. And then add a new vertex group. And select the areas nearest to the camera. And then choose that vertex group for the density. And then just adjust your objects for the scene here. And that is how you make sand in Blender cycles. So if you guys have a Blender project that uses this technique, or techniques that you learn from my other tutorials, feel free to share with me on Instagram and Twitter. Have a great day, guys.